Hello, friends. I am in this kind of refining mode of really seeing what the Matrix is doing and how part of me has a tendency to engage in it. And I have really been sitting with this every day. It's like this, I'm kind of in a lab. It's a science project to really see what is going on. And I find it really powerful. And of course, that's why I want to share it with you that if this is something that you also want to do your own little science project with your own rising up to meet these suggestions, these hypnotic suggestions of the matrix. And as you do that, it just becomes more and more clear. And I want to just point out one that's very obvious for most of us. Well, it's obvious when you see it. It is that there is just an ongoing um, narrative that there's not enough, that there is a problem, that there is an issue, that you need to think about something. And I know this from myself, not very often anymore, but I so recognize it that there would be some kind of a thought pattern. And I just wanted to engage in it, even though it was so uninteresting, but it felt like I wanted to engage in it till the end of that thought. And as we all know, there is no end to the thoughts. They just keep coming and they keep jumping from one thing to the other. So there is this uh, unrelenting wanting to engage with it because we have not questioned it. We haven't just sat down and said, okay, what the F is this? What is this? Do you ever do that? Do you ever question it enough? I mean, really take some time and you go like, this makes no sense. Because when we really take that step back and look at what we're bombarded with 24/7, it makes no sense. But like I talked about the other day, if we're not standing guard at the door of our consciousness, it just comes in. We need to know, we need to be aware of what is coming in, and we need to know the signs so that we can be there, right? Because it's sneaky. Now, one of the signs is very clearly it will induce fear. End of story. There's always a fear slash lack story about it, or a survival issue. Well, that is fear too. And I was out walking with a friend the other day and we were talking about that. And then I was sharing something with her about myself, and she says, Pernilla, that is the matrix. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I just was sucked into it because it's been a story further down that has been running a lot in my life. And I was so grateful that she could just point it out because we had just talked about it. So it was fresh and it was easy just to say, you're doing it right now. And it was like, oh, thank you. And that moment, I let it go and I said, I will not feed that anymore. So now I will be able to catch that when it comes, from deep down, creeping up, not really noticing it from my end. And then suddenly it got in and then I'm engaging with it. So because this one was exposed in my specific life, now I'm more conscious of it. So now I have more choice. That's why it's really powerful to expose the specific flavors or stories or feelings so that we can recognize them when they come sneaking in. And I think we all know, they're very sneaky. They kind of whisper something and you can barely hear it, but you can feel it. So even if you can't really hear it, you will notice that you are suddenly feeling a little scared, uncomfortable, contracting. And that contraction, or whatever it is, that is our response to those hypnotic suggestions and programming. Those are the ones we need to catch. And if you have some specific flavors, please share it down in the comments below, because that will help others see it also, right? We all have our specific flavors, but when there is fear involved, and that I would say there always is, you can be sure it's the matrix, because I did a video about something like that. Fear is the fodder, the food of the matrix, right? That it keeps, wants to feed us with, or actually be fed. It wants us. They bring in fear, and then we feed the fear. That is what we need to expose. We need to become conscious of it. And then the more you do, and again, I'm speaking from my own experience here, the more I do that, it's so amazing, because it's like there is just this buzzing. The more I go in here and want to stay in there, then I slash probably all of us, then you'll notice that there's always something that wants to pull you out. And some of them, they're probably our core woundings, our core beliefs, our core trauma, whatever it is, because they are like in every cell of our body. So when we go in here and want to disengage from it, there is a fear. It's like it feels as if we need to engage with this insanity. I realized this is, I think, some years ago, that when I stopped engaging with the fear, guess what? That brought in more fear. It's like, oh my God, it's scary to not engage with it. So that's how tricky that matrix is. It's like it has all these little tricksters to tell us quietly, right? Just a whisper or feeling that no, you need to engage. It's not good if you don't engage, or it's scary, or something bad will happen. And this story that might be going on in your life, that's, something not so good happening. There's this like, no, you have to engage. I have to think about it all the time, over and over, right? And we do that. We do that because we don't know what else to do. We somehow, there is a belief in there that that is the right thing to do, that by keep going over it and over it, the fear, the lack, whatever it is, that it's going to get us out of it, or that we're going to find a solution to it. And all we do is just feed the matrix, and it comes saying, no, you need to think about me. You have to go over this again. And again, it's not something that we hear, it's a feeling, right? It's a suggestion. So we go, oh, okay, okay. And then we go there again. So where I'm at right now, and it changes every day, it's just really being in the core and seeing how there is a part of me that is preventing me to go deeper. There's, as soon as I sink in, it's almost like something fearful, or something, or something, and I'm really in that core stuff, and doing my best to observe it, be present with it, not let it come in, and be present with the felt sense of what's going on in my body. And I don't know if anybody else is like me in that. It seems like these core um, beliefs, felt senses, um, yeah, that they're kind of like at the core, and they color everything else after that. when we jump into the story that the suggestions want us to engage in. It feels like this is really, really important to be aware of if you want to really get out of the matrix. Because remember, there really is no matrix out there. There are suggestions, there are hypnotic suggestions that are not physical, that are not real. Like a suggestion is a suggestion. If I suggest to you that, this oak tree out there or this palm tree out there is a tulip, then you go like, what's wrong with you? That is a suggestion. It is just a suggestion. And they're hard to catch when you start out, okay? But the suggestion that says, you have to be afraid. There's something terrible coming around the corner. And it is a suggestion. It's like saying that the palm tree is a tulip. It's no different. When you really get down to it and you start seeing through it. So that's why it is really important that we take the time to observe it to the best of your ability. And if we don't do that, we will keep feeding the matrix, many times believing that we are liberating ourselves from the matrix or liberating the world from the matrix. But that's why it's so important to know when you have entered in the matrix and trying to change the matrix or better it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I go out in my garden and make it more beautiful. And so it's not like we stop doing things out there. But if it comes from the part of the matrix that we are identified with, we're just feeding it more. So if we want to get out of the matrix, we need to know and become aware of every time we rise up, engage with that suggestion, and then we make it our reality. This is deep stuff, isn't it? I think it's super deep and super liberating when you start getting it. Most people don't get this because they still believe that engaging in the matrix from the matrix in here is going to change it. It may make it nicer. It may improve it. Absolutely. And that's great. I would much rather live in a matrix that's more beautiful and more loving. But when we stop engaging with it, and if there's just enough of us who can really do that, and there are many, many people who are doing this work, most certainly in the community of the Infinite Way, which is Joel Goldsmith, because this is what he was teaching, way back in the 50s. That's what I kind of have been feeding myself with since I think the mid to late 80s. That's when I got connected with that. So, but the more of us do it now consciously, specifically because the false matrix out there, when I talk about the matrix, it's because it's the false matrix I'm referring to. But when you really start, if you really want to make a difference and be free, I don't know if there is another way than to help raise the frequency, meaning come into the frequency of the divine and allow that light to shine. And thereby just allowing the matrix, the false matrix, the false hypnotic suggestions, right? When we stop following those, there will be a whole new frequency and light that's going to be available to all of us. And in that frequency, there is no lack. Because the lack, remember, is the hypnotic suggestions from the false matrix. It's not real. It looks real. Oh, yeah, I will agree with you. But it is only real as long as we, collectively keep feeding it. Then we will start seeing that the reality that is here, which is also, the field, the Rumi talks about that, beyond wrong, right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. For me, that's like beyond duality, there is a field. I'll meet you there. That is the field that we want to start connecting with as much as we're able to. So I think the last several videos have really, I'm kind of going into that deeper because it's my own process right now. And I find it so, God, it's so specific and getting clearer and clearer to me. And in that, I hope that some of that clarity is going to come through my words and through my transmission as my own little, stuff dissolves so it can come out more clearly. So please let me know in the comments how this lands for you. Please share with your friends. I mean, can you imagine if everybody started going like, this matrix things, it's all about lack and problems and fear, scratch, scratch, like, what's that about? Why is that? That doesn't sound like the divine, right? The divine is the fullness of everything. So how can there be lack? So please share, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to stay connected like this. And with that, I say thank you very much for being here today, and I look forward to being with you again next time.